Hello everyone. Today I'm coming to you on behalf of the Hyper Igm Foundation. My very good friend, old friend, all the way back from middle school, my friend Savannah, and her dear son Kobe. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, which if you're not, you should be, at LilithNova1, you have seen that here lately I have been asking for donations for the Hyper Igm Foundation. And I know most of you probably have never heard of this because it is such a rare childhood disease. This is going to turn into a bit of a story time and hopefully a reason why you'll donate to research for this cause, or at the very least share this video or share the link to the donation sites. How did I become aware of Hyper Igm? Well, a couple of years ago, I had reconnected with an old friend from middle school named Savannah. She was a dear friend to me when I was in middle school, but I hadn't seen her since school. And in the time that we had been apart, she had gotten married and had children and was living her life. Her son Kobe, however, literally the sunshine in her world, he was born very sick. He was born with Hyper Igm. Now, what Hyper Igm is very confusing to understand. I looked up so much on it, and I could get technical here, but I don't want to lose anybody on this. Savannah herself had actually explained it to me in probably the best way possible that I've seen, the best layman terms that I've seen. So I'd actually like to read that to you now. Savannah says to me in a private Facebook message, "Yes, I'm going to get a bit technical, but nothing too bad. When a baby boy is born, he gets an X from mom and a Y from dad. Mom has 2 X chromosomes, one active and one dormant. That is where the disease comes from. It would come from the dormant X chromosome. Now, see, what happens with this dormant chromosome is it's a mutation in the child's genes, and it causes their immune system to not fully develop. It only develops as far as it would develop to protect the baby in the womb. But see, once the baby comes out, that immune system is supposed to develop even more than that. A child with Hyper Igm doesn't fully develop his or hers immune system. This leaves them open to all sorts of problems, all sorts of diseases, all sorts of sicknesses. Even the common cold, the flu, anything like that can be deadly to people like this. And unfortunately, my friend Savannah found this out the hard way when her son, after playing in a creek, ended up getting sick, going into the hospital. They thought it was just going to be another routine type thing. Things were always a little rougher for Kobe because of his condition, but they never expected the worst. And after just a few days of being in there, suddenly he passed. And I have watched her go through so much over this. And even before he passed, just everything she would talk about, all the problems she would talk about with him, all the hospital visits. They were constantly having to go to the hospital. A lot of these children don't even make it out of childhood, much like Kobe. And when they do, it's not an easy life. They're constantly sick. They basically have to live in like bubbles because they're constantly sick. germs, all that. It's death sentences to them. You see, the thing about it is, kids like Kobe don't really have much of a voice. This disease is so rare, so extremely rare. There is little known about it. There is very little research about it. And the thing about this is her daughters, the females, are mostly the carriers of this illness. They are the carriers, and it could be lying dormant in her daughter's system or in a lot of female systems around the world. And it can be passed on to their children, which physical signs, it can affect females, but it mostly affects the males, little boys. There needs to be a lot of research done on this, and this Christmas, my friend, this is their second Christmas without their little boy, and I think she's just concentrating all her efforts and trying to do something to help kids like Kobe. Working with the Hyper Igm Foundation to raise money to be able to find a cure, to be able to figure out better ways to be able to figure out how to give these people a better quality of life, how to give these people extended lives at the very least, or find a cure. And your help is needed. They need research funding. They need research funding bad. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. If you want to please help a kid like Kobe, help him. I mean, if there had been research done, he might have still been here today. If, this could have been researched deeper. They need all the help that they can get. And right now, there are so many kids out there just like him that have little to no voice. Because it is a rare condition. So what exactly is the Hyper Igm Foundation, you may be asking yourself? Let me tell you. The Hyper Igm Foundation is a foundation located in New York, New York. It says on their Facebook page that their mission is to improve the treatment quality of life and the long-term outlook for children and adults living with Hyper Igm through research, support, education, and advocacy to families and patients. About our mission to improve the treatment quality of life and the long-term outlook of children and adults living with Hyper Igm syndrome. Company overview. We provide support and education to families with Hyper Igm syndrome. We also run a global HIGM patient program community. Email info at hyperigm.org to connect with others. This is a non-profit charity organization. They are in desperate need of funding, and I will put a link to their Facebook where you can donate down below. So please, I'm asking you, go over to the Hyper Igm Foundation. Leave a donation. Even $1, a couple of cents, anything will help. If you're unable to do that, I get it. It's around Christmas. You're unable to do that. Share this video. Share the link to the donation page. Talk about it. Give these kids a voice. Please. I'm begging you, please. And my friend is begging you too. Do it for this space. Do it for Kobe. Thank you.